Okay, so as promised, here's the video for making the mold for the hand of the monkey that I'm sculpting. Okay, so I just finished sculpting this last night. I'll give you a close-up. Let's see if it'll focus. There it is. So this is the hand that's symmetrical, so I only have to make a mold of one of them. And I think it's, even though it's symmetrical, I don't think it looks, especially from a distance, that unusual, especially for a monkey hand. And this will go kind of attached right like that. So I think that fits pretty well. It might look a little big now, but this is going to be filled out a little bit more once I treat that fur. But anyway, it's looking pretty good. Oh, actually, I didn't show you last time too. This whole unit right now comes right off of that mechanism. So this is just a tube that wraps around it. Once this is finished, I'm going to stitch it down the base, so you can see that this is still that original mechanism from before, and it fits right on just like that. But let me get rid of this so we can get to the mold making. So to make a mold from this, I want to do a dump mold just like I did for the face, but rather than building up cardboard, because I want to cast right into the symbols. Okay. So what I did is I found this bowl, this tiny little bowl. I think it holds about 10 ounces. And I found that it fits perfectly over the symbol with leaving a little bit of room on the side. But like that'll be such a good housing for the mold. So what I did is I took one of them and I drilled a big hole in it so that I can fill it. So first thing I'm going to do is glue this thing down around the edges. And then we will start filling it with silicone. I'll show you the whole process. I want to make sure that it's centered in there so the mold, it is pretty close. It's closer than it probably should be to the edges. I think you want to leave usually like 1/4 of an inch or so. I'm gluing this right to the symbol to prevent leaks. Okay, I'll let that cool down for a second. I'll give you a close-up too. So now, this is what I'm going to pour my silicone into, okay? So this bowl holds about 10 ounces of fluid. So I'm going to actually fill this with part A to about 8 ounces and then put the 10-to-1 ratio of part B in there and then mix it up, and that should give me plenty, maybe even a little extra that I need to fill up this. Anytime you're doing any work like this, with any resins or anytime you're really mixing chemicals, you really want to make sure you have gloves on. It's always the safe way to be. Okay, so here we go. This is my measuring cup, and I will put that on the scale, and it weighs 33.5 grams. And if I hit this button, it resets it to 0. So then it automatically subtracts the weight of the cup, and I can just pour in my silicone. Now I don't know how much weight I need of the silicone, but I do know I need about 8 ounces, maybe a little less. I'll find out what that is by pouring this. So we have 304 grams of part A. So what I'm going to do is reset this back to 0, because all I have to do is move the decimal point over one spot. So I have part B. Of part B, I need 30.4 grams. So if I just set this back to 0, I know I just have to put in 30.4 grams. So watch, I'll open it up. Actually, I'll use this as a makeshift funnel. And I'm just about a half a gram over, which hopefully will be close enough. I'll show you how it's mixing. Still got a ways to go. Still very swirly. You need to make sure that this is a completely solid color all the way through, and make sure that you're scraping the edge as well so that there's no silicone that is unmixed. One of the awesome things about using silicone is I don't need to wash these tools. I just let this cure right on the tool, and then after by tomorrow in 24 hours, this will peel off like it wasn't even there. So now I'm ready to pour. Now when I pour, to make sure that I don't get bubbles, I really want to pour from really high, because that makes a real thin stream and it'll pop any bubbles that will come up from mixing it. Because you can see just looking in there, there's a bunch of bubbles, which are not good for casting, because you'll have little holes. So what I'm going to do is fill it up a little bit. Sure, I aim well. And you want to try to pour from, hit the bottom of the mold. Whoop. Not the outside of the mold. Okay. So I filled it probably about halfway so far. I'm going to let it settle and really make sure it gets into all the little crevices before I fill it up all the way. Luckily I have about, it says I have 45 minutes of working time, so I have plenty of time. I'm just going to turn this a little bit so you guys can kind of see inside. I don't want to spill it, but you can see that it's about halfway filled. I'm just turning it around a little bit to make sure that I get into all the little crevices. Ready to keep pouring. So let's do this. So exciting, isn't it? So we're just gonna have to wait for this bad boy to cure. So I'll be back in 24 hours and then we will demold it and see if it worked. Okay, it's been 24 hours and this is completely cured. I don't have time to cast it right now, but I'm so excited to take it out. I just wanted to film this real quick. So let me open this up. You can see it's completely solid. Here it comes, here it comes. Okay, well that came off. And it looks like pretty much just as planned. So this was, the hand is much bigger than this. This makes it look really skinny, but that's the only part of the sculpture that was in contact with the symbol. So what I'm going to do, so the symbol has that hole in there, but to keep, I'm going to cast it straight to the symbol. So to keep it from spinning, I'm going to drill some extra holes in there that bite into different parts of the hand. So let's see if I can pull this whole thing out. Okay, there we go. Comes out of the bowl. I think I'll still keep it in the bowl when I do the casting, just help it keep its form. But for popping this clay out, yeah, there we go. Look at that. It's gonna come right out of there. Now it doesn't matter if I wreck the clay when it comes out, because I already have the casting. Or the mold, rather. But I'd like to try to get it out one piece. Because sometimes when I sculpt similar things in the future, I can use this as a base. And there you go, came out pretty well. So it's in decent shape. And here is the mold. Let me try to open it up for you again. Looks like it worked perfectly. It's got that nice little divot there so we can fit this in. So next step for me is to thoroughly clean out the mold and clean this off really well. And then we'll check the condition, and then I can start casting.